Better? It's the same, isn't it?
She got puppies.
I know. That's part of the image, isn't it? That was part of I think it was. Hi everyone, it's really lovely to see you. This is Amagi, and this is the first, still got the cramp, this is the first event this term for the Center for Poetry and Poetics reading series, and it's with great pleasure to welcome back all of our guests really today, because all the three poets have read here before, some a long time ago, some quite recently. So the way we are going to be doing this is the following. We will have the whole reading experience in one go. We are not going to have a break. Each reader is going to read for about 20 minutes. I'll introduce the first two to start with, and then after the first two readings, I'm going to introduce the third reader, if it makes sense. Welcome also to our online audience. We've got quite a few people here, and just to say that this reading event is recorded, but yeah, just to say to the online audience that we will be switching the camera off for the first reader, but not obviously the audio, so you will be able to hear everything. So I can actually say that welcome back, Mendoza. even though you said it was donkeys years ago that you read here, whom I'm going to introduce as our first guest today. Mendoza is a Northumbrian poet and researcher. They describe, one of the reasons we've got so many people here today is because I kept talking all week about insectology. So I don't quite know, you'll have to kind of explain and elaborate a little bit because I might have got it completely wrong. But anyhow, so Mendoza, they describe their creative practice as frass, from the German word fressen, which means to devour, collecting, hoarding, and metaphorically consuming found entomological texts. They reconstitute these texts as poetry, mapping the world through their own embodied language in which familiar and unfamiliar terrain is disrupted. In doing so, they are liberated from neurotypical modes of thinking, deconstructing and reconstructing the self through the language of insects as a necessary act of nonconformity. Publications here include WINDSUCKERS and ONSETTERS, SONNOTS for Griffiths. It was a collaboration with Peter Manson, 2018. Then The Science of Poetry, the Poetry of Science. It was again a collaboration, wasn't it, with Peter Manson under Linus Slug, which is Mendoza's other writer's name. And there is another one and another one. But anyway, this is all exciting. We are talking about multiple selves today in class, so that's brilliant. That was a 2015 project, and Type Specimen, an Observant Guide to Linus Slug, was a Contraband 2014 publication. Mendoza's poetry can be heard at the Archive of the Now. Archive of the Now, if you don't know, is an online archive of the now with lots of contemporary authors, and I think it was Andrea Brady putting it together, or she's still putting it together, like it's I don't know if it's finalized. So Mendoza will be our first reader, and our second guest who we are welcoming back today is Zoë Skoulding. Really, it is so lovely to see Zoë back. I can't remember the last time you were here, but several times, and we've done tons of projects together as well. So it is really lovely to see Zoë here tonight. Zoë Skoulding is a poet, performer, translator, and literary critic with an interest in eco-poetics. I've been talking about eco-poetics all week as well, and last week. Her sixth and latest collection of poems is A Marginal Sea. Just to show you. That was a 2022 Carcanet Press collection. This was shortlisted for Wales Book of the Year. Congratulations. Following Footnotes to Water, that was a book which came out in 2019. This was a Poetry Book Society recommendation and won the Wales Book of the Year Poetry Award 2020. In 2020, she also published a revolutionary calendar by Specimen, and she received the Chomley Award. And I even know how to pronounce this. You don't want to see this like written down, this word. It doesn't look like the word Chomley at all. But anyway, Chomley Award from the Society of Authors in 2018, and that's an award, a really prestigious award for Zoe's body of work in poetry. She's professor of poetry and creative writing at Bangor University and lives in Anglesey. I'll just leave it there. Can you say the words?
Ennismore.
Apologies about that, I should have checked. So we're gonna start with Mendoza, this first half, and then continued by Zoe's reading. So And I'm gonna just switch off the, sorry guys, the camera for now. What's happening with that?
What?
What's happening with that?
Is this okay to see?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
visual.
it's off. It's off.
It's on, but it's the camera is not on.
Can you hear on the mic? So I'm Mendoza, and this is my frass. The death still unworld is shapeless core, skin earthworm, stour dust as black as coal inbled. Who could translate the maze of passages, the roadway drifts of endless tree lands consigned to darkness? Inverse architecture, unseen. I am acquiring a new language. I, blind, deaf, mute. Unimaginable forms. You lose your light. Spend all of your lives where the hills aren't, and then no information, and everyone is chairs standing on thin legs in the house you lived in. The house you lived in. Backyard, flagstone, ginnel, stubenflieger. That is house, like fly, like musca domestica, all assume nothing. Nicked endend. Contagion, contagion, contagion. Measuring the distance between points, the myth of nostalgia. I am the same as you now, a work in progress, a convergence or precipitant, a fundamental niche without effect. What is the naming of things, tracing the roots of a thing? But its belly is not white, only whitish. In certain light, I am interrupted. In certain light, I can make tension between copper-coloured devil's needle, darker spots on wings, a glutinous maggot who becomes a fly, quite possibly common. I caught a handful, lackey moth on cherry tree, pea green with maple keys. Transparent skin of eye adjuncts to walls which traverse their interior. Rust red metallic grey is polished larvae grazing the surface of your swollen abdomen, sticky like birdlime jelly amassed in orifice of oviduct. Minute aperture, slippery as if lubricated. Globules of ink inclining to black. A memory is always bright. A memory is always bright, the sun on your face. A memory is always bright, the sun on your face. Close eyes against the memory. From the wilderness, I defy sudden correction. I could build on these species, but I wait for an observation of self, awareness or purpose or evolution. Thus I, like Earth's topography, kiss the chorus of years. and all those creeping little arthropods know better than to gorge on what will destroy them. But its belly is not white, only whitish. In certain light, I am interrupted. In certain light, domestic bees are imperfect creatures. Tension between. The drone is a bee without a sting in vulgar opinion. Worms fixed to their cells. Who becomes a fly? Who becomes a fly, quite possibly common. I caught a handful. The honey bee has lost her wings. To swallow, there is an order and a shape and a sound, and a bright yellow cup on the windowsill conceals an earwig beneath the dome, and still broken glass fragments arrive on the edge. You make blisters of light. When you tilt your head east, we find ourselves bare legs in the back seat, a 6-inch gash across the knee. A memory is always bright. Horse forward. Is a river fish voiceless, swollen at throat? Wax moth will eat the honeycomb. Charming visitors, forest cleaning my cauterized tongue, beats and fills. See, I do not possess these blushing adornments, his gentleman's tail tipped bright with crimson. I have not the time to tell how very pink the blossoms are. I wasn't always a door. I am full of holes, a country door, unbendy against the swollen tone poem. In the 1970s, men in the fen peer at French moths, le papillon de nuit. Upstairs and downstairs, my lily white hands. In the 1970s, men in the fen appear as French moths, sucking their plums in a leisurely exchange. I wasn't always amour. I am mull of Kintyre in the 1970s. Men in the fen are la Falaine. I wasn't always a door. I am mull of Kintyre and so full of holes up against the swollen tone poem in the 1970s in an empty hotel. Upstairs and downstairs with my lily white hands and my milky fen violets, fussy and pale, playing little Bo Peeps has lost all their sheeps. Oh, little Bo Peeps in the 1970s. I am upstairs and downstairs and mull of Kintyre. I lay me down in sheets of linen in an empty hotel in the 1970s. In the fen, men in the fen are queer and French moths, unbendy against the swollen tone poem. Men in the fen are so full of holes, there is no room for my 9 lines in an empty hotel. I am upstairs and downstairs playing peepsy melody. I wasn't always adored. I am full of woe and selected syllables, upstairs and downstairs in the circular dances, faithful and true, men in the fen playing upstairs and downstairs with my lily white hands. I lost my silky wainscots on the mothy banks of the swollen tone poem in the 1970s. Men of the fen lost the tansy beetle in the peaty bogs of the forested swamps. I wasn't. And so it went on like a charm. Such is this cake made of small lady hands. Its fingers point skyward, like we see in the dark a figure, not Jack in the pulpit, striped and tinged with purple, but cordyceps militaris, bright orange or scarlet orange on mossy wood, transforming from animal to plant, a winter creeper to summer herb. Sorry, Charlie, for the imposition is an imp like a kite in the shape of a magpie, a blackbird peak, a peck in crown, and so it went on like a charm. Such is your English bond, always repeating with the same insistence. Oh, that wasn't a dainty dish in my limpet shell. She makes any king whom she pleases. The rolling rhythm of this metrical foot, the tarsus, see tarsus, foot, foot, fet, feet. All insects have 6 legs or feet. Hex and puss, stress and stress. There's the coxer, then the long shaft, and nothing else but legs behind the mouth, the biting organs, the mandibles, mouth and front of tongue, and mouth forming palate suddenly makes the click of, and appendages, and mites and others, and chemical defences and leaf litter, wingless springtails and other wingless hexapods, wingless and blind and wingless inhabitants of decaying forests, and wingless insects, wingless insects jumping bristletails, wingless insects, and ephemeral habitats without fish and fairy shrimp and small groups of parasitic taxa, and carp lice, and a few amphibians, and moist velvet worms. But its belly is not white, only whitish. I understand this and listen for birdsong. Rather, I cut myself on the barbed wire we circle around the nursery. More binding confines the meaning of issue. When corn fodder, starched, smooth and rigid, the edges frayed. Of their own accord, the soil beneath the mountain ash. And I have all their language. Pale generations burn pale masses to dust cut with perfume, cut with aromatic wood. Golden trills lay waste the foliage, your face transfixed and alight. Your face, your eyes, your mouth is swollen poetry. 'Tis again the running brook. Night holding sunlight, open-mouthed. And I have all their language in my mouth, cut with perfume and aphids and parasitic preface, I-A-E, face. My 2-word poem is a swarm of butterflies rain blood in Germany, an army of locusts, and now I am blood prodigy. No. Tomicus, typographus, the cutting printer, enemy of books. I like it that you're yet more ambiguous and spewing only organic matting, amorphous and soft. Hey, an ass eats a fig in folded homage. Fig 1. Male of fig wasp inseminating female fig wasp inside the gall of an edible fig. The piece is a table who sits and gloats. In desperation, we dismembered him. But its belly is not white, only whitish. Drop it, drop it. Cover it up, cover it up. Pull it up, pull it up, pull it up. I understand this and walk in a clockwise direction. A 6-inch gash across the knee. Rather, I cut myself on the barbed wire. We circle around the nursery when, starched, smooth and rigid, the edges frayed in the soil beneath. And I'm caught in the woods with my tiny violets, each one a name after that, after this. Turn only on a straight path, as if to waltz, as if to write a connection between two things. Not complete or perfect, unfinished. The decay and dissolution of tissues and blood placed beneath the head of masked pupa, or the soft-skinned worm grub stinking, swarming in stomach's pit. Macabre optics removed after use. Not crystalline, eteremus, but ink like the meeting of lines. Distortion of book, lung, organs of touch, and the wing veins, etc. In a perfect binding, these two blunt arms are fetid amour. Later, black ceruleus blue, a cup-shaped organ, a drinking vessel, suctorial mouth, dirt and stain-edged, the act of swallowing to soak in the rind, the skin cleft like a feather, bent inwards, unnamed and destitute. Done with this, my body. Done with this, my blood. Done with unassuming.
The light's okay, but I'd quite like to be able to see the line up. So we can go back to the last.
Do you want a bit of light on it?
No, it's just the last slide. Yeah, you can see the time on it.
Okay.
Stuff going on and on. So I've gone up to 7:18 then.
Okay.
Maybe I can open poster,
that.
wasn't there?
Yeah. Maybe we get that.
Oh, that's all you want.
Where's the poster gone?
Going to
Huh?
images.
I just left it open.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, yeah. That's the one.
Yeah.
Great. Lovely.
And you got the time.
And I've got the time, yes.
Can you do something with this?
Away.
Great.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you happy with the light?
Perfect. Oh, it's a bit dark. Do you want a little bit of light? Ah. Yes. Yeah. It's nice, it's lovely. I can see I'm talking to you. Yes, it's fine.
I'm just gonna check if people can see you because you are now being recorded.
Oh, it's now being recorded. Do you? Because you want me to stand relatively near this. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Great. Okay. So, yeah, wonderful to be here and in such company, and thank you very much for having me and for listening. The celestial setup. Imagine staring up into an open umbrella you're holding as it pivots. After the defeat, after the ruin and the flawed reconstruction, what's left but drawing the body into its own circle, spinning around an axis, not like a small country flailing spikes from its malignant crown, but in star clusters, islands breaking into archipelagos. By this, I mean a network of events or love moving on the epidermis, a crackle on a hand in the small distance, unraveling intenses between your past and my future, performing a horizontal music in relation to the touch of breath, or the edge of this poem falling into space, where every revolution is still happening in your skin. When does holding out your hand become a question? Which way to the center, and how will I know when I get there? When the city is both a practice of scars and a pattern of what's in the air. In other words, in song, an accumulation of detail, invisible until you're dead. For now, we wander slowly about the star sphere in a discontinuity that exists as aperture, to defer the sound of an ending, not to stop there, just look, don't look at the sun. Okay, so, I'm coming tonight with it, like thinking of a number of losses of poets and people whose voices are very much needed. And so I'm going to read a poem that is for Rosa Luxemburg, the revolutionary Rosa Luxemburg, who died at the hands of fascists. And actually, this is a poem that was commissioned by Sharon Kivland. And so I'm also thinking of the kind of Sheffield connection with her wonderful artist. And so she had the idea of writing graveside orations for Rosa Luxemburg, but in a kind of imaginary ones. And this, anyway, is the poem. A rose for Rosa. This is not the grave of Rosa Luxemburg. She is not here. You will not find her. Neither will you find her at the memorial to Rosa Luxemburg at the Liechtenstein Bridge or the U-Bahn station, Rosa Luxemburg Platz. You can search the length of Rosa Luxemburg Strasse in Erfurt. You will not find her. She isn't walking down Rosa Luxemburg Strasse in Leipzig or Rosa Luxemburg Strasse in Chemnitz. We need her, but she is not here. You can't stop looking on Rosa Luxemburg Strasse in Döbeln, but she isn't there. She's not on Calle Rosa Luxemburgo in Gijón. She's not at the Center Rosa Luxemburg in Bethune. She isn't there, and you won't find her on Ulica Rosa Luxemburg in Belgrade. You can visit the Rosa Luxemburg Stiftung in Munich, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Bremen, Stuttgart, Saarbrücken, Leipzig, Amsterdam, Brussels, and Mexico, but you won't find her. You can walk through the Centro Comercial Rosa Luxemburgo in Madrid, but she isn't there, and neither is she anywhere on Calle Rosa Luxemburgo or in the Colegio Público Rosa Luxemburgo or the Clínica Veterinaria Rosa Luxemburgo, all of which are also in Madrid, where you won't find her. You will not find her on Calle Rosa Luxemburgo in Arganda del Rey. It wasn't Rosa Luxemburg who lit up the Rosa Luxemburg electric lamp factory in Warsaw. She is not in the Jardin Rosa Luxemburg in Paris or the Jardins de Rosa Luxemburg in Barcelona, where although you may find roses, you will not find her. It's no use looking for Mies van der Rohe's monument to Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht in Berlin, as it's no longer there, but if it were, you wouldn't find her. And she's not in Rosa Luxemburg Platz in Dresden, or the Collège Rosa Luxemburg in Aubervilliers, knock on every door in Ulica Rosie Luxemburg in Yekaterinburg. She isn't there. You will not find her. She isn't on Lawn Rosa Luxemburg in Llandegfan, nor in the Lycée Rosa Luxemburg in Canet-en-Roussillon. You can spend days on Ulica Rosa Luxemburg in Skopje, but you will not see her. She is not on Ulica Rosa Luxemburg in Slieven. You will not find her on Calle Rosa de Luxemburgo in La Camocha. You will not find her. You will not find her there. And staying with a sort of theme of, I suppose, past revolutionary moments, I'm going to read a little bit from a revolutionary calendar, which makes use of the structure of the French Republican calendar, which was initiated after the French Revolution, where the saints' days were replaced by animals and plants and agricultural implements. And also the months were renamed, so it is today the 9th of Ventose in that calendar, so they had seasonal months instead of months named after gods. And actually I mentioned Sharon Kivlin, she also did the cover for this book. Yeah. And has her own project also on the calendar. So I'm going to kind of start midway through Ventose, because this is where we are today with the 9th. So Marceau, goat willow. There should be more goats in the willows, more goats waywardly clambering, more willows disappearing behind yellowish goat teeth. Bêche, spade. Call a spade a monument to hands, a handle framing sky, a blade locked into earth upright on the horizon. If you dare, dare now. Narcisse, Narcissus. You're all ears to the echo of your own voice sounding in its loneliness, a blaze of golden rhetoric, and nobody there. Orme, elm. What passes and stands still on the skyline, skeleton structure of a myth, branches into cloud, lines about to fall. Fumitaire, common fumitory. Oh, just a smoking earth, tears in your eyes, the usual mess blurring the edges between cause and effect, but watch this space. Velar, hedge mustard. Look what gets thrown up in the shattered ground. A wiry, tangled stem and yellow petals. You could almost believe that every poison has this antidote. Chèvre, nanny goat. Bleat is a broken question pushed into forbidden leaves, a flexed lip browsing the heaviness of milk against sprung muscle. Épinard, spinach. First green flickers against the mineral darkness, cut and come again, a theory of resistance, still holding water. Doronique, leopard's bane. Daisy wheel of sun on bitter grey, where there's no stopping on the yellow lines or anywhere, leaves furl out to their margins, irregular and toothed. Mouron, scarlet pimpernel. When all planned outcomes are in disarray, just pretend to be pretending, not to know anything. Those elusive petals falling on your shoulders are still someone else's blood, not freedom. Sylve, forest. Green turns over silver where hidden ears shade echoes of survival. How far could you run now without touching the ground? To what beginning could you possibly return? Capillaire, maidenhair fern. Tomorrow's hanging by a thin black line, waterfall delicate, too much or not enough, sun or drainage, all this wavering on the brink. Fren, ash. Fissured bark looks old. Does it sound as old as poetry? Or the greying remnants of a fire where helicopter seeds are circling to the rescue? Plantoir, dibber. Hit me with your dibber stick, a little spring rhythm in the broken ground, where what comes up is nothing but a mirage of stockpiled rations and longed for disaster. Okay, so I read something quite new. In fact, it's so new I haven't entirely decided on the title. So it's got something to do with muscles, and also I was very intrigued by the word enshittification, last year's word of the year. So the enshittification sluice gate operative, working title. It's coming for us like a wave, which is to say a wave is what it is. We're hyperlinked in byssal threads and clinging on, 1 foot in the grave decay of platforms, still here, sticking together, holding on to something, which is to say nothing, locked in and long gone floating. Narrow the filter of results to bring us voices of the dead, particulate matter, suspended in the metabolic drift where I is your feed. It all washes over us or goes right through. Each cool moment clicks into its shell or chatters on the rocks, each case open and shut, which is to say there's a flicker of eyes where the pearls were. Here in the shallows, your memory is mine, an archive of infinite want in wet sand where nothing grows except persistent toxins and somewhere a returning. The question is no longer what shit we are in, but whose body drains the sediment. Stuck again. In the data flow, we are transparent ocean glass, expelling now after now for a when that never comes, which is to say we suck it up. Your heart is only bits of glitter rinsing through our gills. Another quite new one. Yeah. Seal. In the blink of a rock, you're here and mulling over your next move in grey on darker grey, a sudden film unreels, a long shot head turned, flipper not waving, no, but warning raised against checkered sea. You outwit death by a whisker, for now in the numbers game, luxuriant in blubber, lulled as the sky falls silent, in the skin of mackerel cloud is how we'd like to think it, still trumpeting our losses to this empty water, warm and all fished out. You shuffle your smooth bulk, a syllable mottled. Oh, silver, how you sleek in monochrome, secret minor seventh, in lifting tide, unbound below surface. In a double life, it's true, there's never enough time, but only this now, this single frame luminous, shocked open on your bleached out silhouette. And I will read also from Marginal C. There's some birds. Galvinia, curlew, Numenius arquata. Fluting shade, fluting on water. It's spring sun, it's war again, still. And its scissor and scalpel into the sludge. A curlew calling on the edge of Europe, errant in whose airspace sky darkling croon, confused alarms, tactic and strategy. Here come invisible hands, the dead vibrating out of voice in instant composition or composition of instants, a courier running and losing ground in lieu of this tidal absence, just about holding a tune. Milvran, cormorant, Phalacracrax carbo. In the middle of a conversation goes incognito, slipping off its names. 53 seconds, 48 seconds, 27 seconds. Where do you go when you're not here, leaving the surface of a morning beside itself, in whose future you dive beneath, advancing positions? How do you measure the distance from water to what can't be scored in subaqueous punctuation, your shattered bleat on the wind, impossible speech? Pioden vor, oystercatcher, Hematopus australigus. Lined up on the shore, snipping brightly at, oh, whatever. There's too much to read in the mud, these letters that float at the center of things we're on the side of, cracked open. Where I'm alive, I'm a stranger, squeaking in drizzle, orange-pink legs, beak against monochrome, cockle drill, hammer and tongs going, each of us, several already, and stranger still, flexed wingspan, this muscle of belonging on the no-joke horizon, how far will it extend? Pioden, magpie, pika, pika. Here's one for sorrow. I salute you when twice sadness equals joy in the mathematics of encounter, as I become your double in disappearance into hawthorn, in bramble and gorse, in a wink. Hey, good morning, and how are your kin? My kith in this flickering day, where we both know any win against the sun is checkered at best, and where it falls, you flash your black wing on white, black squared. Okay, and I will finish with one that I have brought a friend with me to accompany. Talora halig, willow warbler, Philoscopus tropinus, fitish, fitist fazike, puyo fitist, Louis Grosso, Mosquitero musical, Felosa musical, Kucham situ, Kucha mbuga, timber, Nini, pili pili sa mabaleti, Hofsanger, Uno Toyi,
Shall we stay on? Wow, thank you so much, Zoe. That was just so good. Loved it. So I should have started, I guess, but I kind of like deliberately delayed the piece of information that this is a celebration tonight, and it is a celebration because we are launching a book, with slightly delay, but we are still launching it here within the Center for Poetry and Poetics. And what we are launching tonight is Harriet Harriet Tarlo's part 2 of what's called cut flowers. So this was part 1, and this came out 5 to 6 months ago or something like that. I don't know, a few months ago. It's still fresh, so it is still, there is a reason to celebrate. So we're launching that book here today. I should have also said, just a slight side comment, that we have books here today or tonight. So we've got several books by Zoë on the bookshelf or in the little bookshop area, and also we've got quite a lot of various publications by Harriet Tarlo, including the fresh book, the new book. So once we finish tonight, there will be a 15-minute little window for you to mingle awkwardly with the writers, and that's not my term. I'm still using Sam Latkin's terminology here, the awkward mingling. I just love it. So you can mingle and spend some dosh on the beauties. So I'm going to introduce Harriet, not that I have to, because a lot of us are here to celebrate the publication from Sheffield. But for those who don't know our dear friend, Harriet Tarlo's poetry is published with various presses, including Shearsman's Press, Frosken Books, and Guillemot Press. Harriet Tarlo collaborated for over 10 years with the artist Judith Tucker, exhibiting widely here and abroad and publishing 5 artists' books with Wild Pansy Press. Her most recent publications are Cut Flowers 1 and Cut Flowers 2. Cut Flowers 1 was 2021 and Cut Flowers 2 is 2024, but the end of 2024. And this was a collaboration with artist Judith Tucker. Now, the flyer for today is Judy's painting we are using. For those who don't know, Judy was Harriet's partner and tragically died in a car accident 2023 November. So this is sort of a kind of remembering Judy Tucker at the same time. So also there are other collaborative projects Harriet has done. One of them was Saltworth 2022, that was with Kim Martindale. Was actually just messaged me saying that there are issues with the dog, so she can't be here tonight. So sorry, forgot to mention. Oh, sorry, Spillways 2022. Harriet Tarlo edited the influential anthology The Grand Asland, an anthology of radical landscape poetry. That was 2011 by Shearsman, and she's professor of eco-poetry and poetics at Sheffield University. So a heartfelt, huge, squeezy welcome.
Thanks, Aggie, for that lovely introduction. And it's wonderful to be here, and thanks for asking me to celebrate this little book with you. This is the last launch, so I'm bringing the book home to Sheffield. And the Cut Flowers form is a form that I've become obsessed with. And in fact, Cut Flowers 3 is on the way. I don't think I'm ever going to stop writing them. Just to tell you, it's one long line, 2 little columns, and then 1 word at the end. And most of these poems can be read 3 ways. So although it's small, it's only 50 poems. It's actually 150 poems. It's actually very big. I'm going to read each one 2 ways, because 3 ways might be a bit excessive. It's in 4 parts. I'm going to read the first and the last. So the first is called Forestry Folk. Those of you who are into folk may recognise some lines appearing. A wired, warming world waited till the best of the English morning was gone. Unseen, selfish peace, lie there instead of me. Weaponry, weepery, redraws, forest fence, rescues, scar, path, line, ungrounds, eye levels lowered. A wired, warming world waited till the best was peace, weaponry fence, line lowered. She leaned her back against a thorn, labouring lark in weak rain, bright sun, lined with the things you don't show. Dig out, dart, welcome, bird in the wood. Knout wrong with roses, bent first and then broke. She leaned her back against a thorn, labouring sun, don't welcome, knout bent or broke. Trial tired mud tracked up, gouged back to rock. Wood pigeons here, where pale flocks, restless like us, murmurate, separate, to grey and grey, single and single. Ivy seal strung up gate, leafless still haws, bilberries still stalks. Trial tired mud tracked up, gouged back here, less separate, single leafless stalks. Is that a company or the tree? Tell you in the real. Rowan flowering forestry over and done, longing except this for water, weird form, listening apple tree adopted me neither, except and also nightjars. Is that a company or the tree? Tell you flowering longing for listening me nightjars. Hanging cloud of live lichen, clung cones, mallard land laid, deadwood in water, fence felled, dipped, flooded, ditch into lake, branches braided over hidden mirror, shadow the life of the world to come. Hanging cloud of live lichen, clung cones, deadwood felled, ditch braided, shadow come. Coots, when they're young, they can't cross over wide water. The water, it's wide. Years are places now. Mother said it was the dregs of music. Welcome, welcome, fish in the flood. Draw it mild, deep, and meaningless down. Coots, when they're young, they can't cross over. It's wide mother music in the deep down. Eye draws reversible figures of stone and light, shows irregularities. Grey comes forward in itself, planes, depths, blocked touch of troposphere, splittings on spittings, slate lane lent. Little delph lends roof to home, farm, mill, local. Eye draws reversible figures of stone and light, grey plains, tropos splittings, lens local. Swing gate out too far, weight catching the sun, dashing fire, breaks heather, full on scent angles, wind blown purple to silver, shine cotton grass flight, no meaningful rain. Swing gate out too far, weight catching fire, full wind, silver flight, rain. Stood outside the house one last time, leaned back against a trusty oak, just some arrangements which you can have. Then yes, the book, labelled later, later, much later. The child out of your greenwood still till no leaves left. Stood outside the house one last time, leaned, just you, labelled the child, still left. Tree handles we hold or pleach in turn die back. The blood never forsook the rose and the linty o, shredding ourselves into parts of others. Communion, contagion, ashes into avenue or tunnel, unright, just at the tips, just touching. Tree handles we hold or pleach in turn, forsook. Oh, shredding others' ashes, untouching. Thinner than the apple peel is to the apple, the biosphere. Sorry now we scrubbed them all from fancy espaliers. How vie et vem, long, swing and sway, to grow, live and let die, back. Thinner than the apple peel is to the apple. Sorry now all, how long to grow back? It's not far, it's just a bit tangly to the stone. Trend leftwards and down, you can see it from the road. All the maidens, rows, circles, hurlers of England, stood fast, then stopped dead, dancing against diesel roar. It's not far, it's just a bit tangly to the stone. Down the road, circles stood, dead raw. So that's the first section. I was always taught to look up when I read, but they're a bit intricate, so I'm sorry I'm not looking up very much. They're easy to get wrong. So the last section I'm going to read you is called Gallery Ground. And in this section, I'm exploring alternate poems that are landscape-based with ekphrastic poems. So there's quite a lot of found text, which is partly from artists and partly from interpretation boards, which I'm a bit obsessed with in galleries. So some of the artists are Eileen Agar, David Bomberg, Annie Albers, Wilhelmina Barnes-Graham, Elizabeth Frink. So I'll just go straight through like I did with the last set, so this is Gallery Ground. Every start, a false start in language. Online, on the line, in the wet car park, been coming here 50 years. Place. Slab, wall, bench, rest. Stumbling into the most of it. Quiet walks along edges, drops most shining out, least expected. Every start, a false start in language. Online car park, place stumbling, walks most expected. Portraits look in, look out for tenderness, the plain face, particular and moving planet. Sensitive chaos, sudden attention took me by surprise, quickening pulse of vegetation, embryos like sea nymphs, eggs on wings. Portraits look in, look out for tenderness, particular sensitive attention, quickening embryos on wings. Oh, heck, this conversation needs a bench. Give up, give over flower, slow into intimacy of sparrows' twigs, heather's volume of fog, palpable, waiting, nestling ledges, hissing, strangely draining, got you. Oh, heck, this conversation needs a bench over intimacy, heather's waiting, hissing, got you. Are they or aren't they growing? Paint flowers in terracotta pot or vase, becoming handle. Sky, skin, wall merge around small stakes. Little soil continuity, thick colour, mixed bunch. So no, not growing, cut. Are they or aren't they growing? Paint pot handle around continuity, bunch, cut. Bronze-aged, seed-banked, home, stone, chat. Whirs high, poised on mustard, little synapses, candelabra yellows, root to blacks, grind larvae, purple to green, damp, wound-wort wrap. Bronze-aged, seed-banked, home, stone, poised, synapses, root larvae, damp wrap. Slowly it dawns on me, one needs to treat people more like plants. Then they make more sense, be more serene. Dense strokes, cuttings as bugs, U's and V's, hum to the tune, stretch, somersault, upturn, free, vertical, horizontal rhythms, upright, oblongs take textile, textural curve and kink. Slowly it dawns on me, one needs to treat people, make dense hum, upturn, upright, curve and kink. He could even hear the sounds of insects and ice, they say. Secret tools laid out, flat out, square by square in wooden boxes, fail to break open sets of frames or reflected images containing the elements. He could even hear the sounds of insects' secret square boxes, sets of image elements. Above, through, all round as the bird flies, a total experience. Triangles, water in the land shadows, land underwater, scratches, entrance point, us. Raises at the interangular ochre section, another shade. Above, through, all round as bird flies, triangles, shadows, scratches, raises, ochre shade. A simple stick, token for a nest, starts clutch on clutch, the promise to share hedge space. Can't get there, hovering on porch, beak braced around dangling life, a bore as humans take their inevitable ease on daisy lawn, pigeon. A single stick, token for a nest, starts clutch to share there, braced a bore, inevitable pigeon. From bed, the bank of trees between, lying snow screen slope to sky, backdrop tenderness of trunks, reaches, flattens, renders brittle, breakable life. Studying fireworks last night, settles into the bark cavities of birds. No, under earth, less is better more. From bed, the bank of trees between, lying backdrop flattens life, settles no more. I've seen that in a nightmare before, harbinger bird, wings folded back over lumped feathers, layered cast clay, plaster, lost wax, lined not fly after all this time, bronze rooted in fear, chasing souvenir of crashes, liquid patina solution. I've seen that in a nightmare before, harbinger, overcast, lined, bronze, souvenir, solution. Slow, climb, low, sun, snow, stun, ice, eyes, skitter, mines, reeds, up, grackling grouse, black purple moor, quaking velvet bent millennia, round small rills, falls. 7 grey lags peck, turn orange beaks east, fly into sleet. Slow climb, low sun, snow, stun, ice, eyes up. Purple bent rills turn into sleet. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Harriet. Before we say a final big thank you to all three guests, just wanted to say, remember to mingle. Also to say for our guests and to anyone who's signed up for dinner, we're gonna kind of like try and make our way to the restaurant for about 8-ish. So that's perfect because you've got 15 minutes awkward mingling, 5 minutes rapid walking down. And then also wanted to say that we've got 2 more events coming up this term, altogether 3. So and it's my colleague as well. So you see now you made me forget what I wanted to say. 2 weeks time, exactly 2 weeks time, we've got 2 stunning and fascinating readings. One is Iris Colomb from London, the multilingual writer, and Natraha will be coming down from Edinburgh, I think. So that will be I can't remember, the 13th of March, something like that. And then we'll have another reading, but right after Easter, May time, with neighbour Kimberly Campanello from Leeds, and from down the south, Big Smoke, Geraldine's friend, and our friend Sasha Akhtar. So can we just say a massive thank you once again to absolutely for the gorgeous readings to Mendoza, Zoe, and Harriet. Thank you for the online details. Hope to see you in 2 weeks.
I have this glass of water.
Yeah, there's 3 glasses of water. Nobody wanted my glass of water for some reason.